Cavalry, come form a line! Soldier, move! Line form it and form a shield wall! Follow me! Follow me! After me! Charge! Follow me! Horse forward! Cavalry! Cavalry! Forward! A soldier! Move! Arrows! Archers! And troops! Move! Stand up! Cavalry forward! Arrow! Attack! Archers, forward! Fire! So forward! Kill them all! Moving! On loose formation! Soldier, move! Troop, step in for move! Hop onward! Cavalry, can form a line! Rider, move! Cavalry forward! Cavalry, loose formation! Charge! Cavalry forward! A forward line of cavalry move! Horsemen! Skein formation! Archers! Stand apart! Archers! Archers! Cavalry forward! Troop move! Horse move! Good for infantry! Soldier move! Infantry! Arrow move! Arch loose! Cavalry! Form a shield wall! Come forward! Horsemen, dismount! Cavalry, forward! Cavalry, move up, stand apart! Movement, movement, forward, move! Orders! Cavalry, move! Forward! Attack! Kill them all! Give them hell! Stand apart! Kill them all! Loose formation!